Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are tuning in to episode 3 of the Luke Neill podcast. Thank you very much for joining. Today, I'm joined by some of the hottest property in Britball, some of the youngest talent to join Great Britain, and someone who's got 2 caps and 2 wins as part of the Great Britain Lions. He's also a national champion, winning the Brit Bowl in his first adult season, and he was the fastest person in his school until age 12. I don't know what that says for diversity at his school, but we'll find out later. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my third guest, Arthur Kingdom, aka AK47, to the Luke Neill podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Luke Neill podcast, Arthur Kingdom, and thank you very much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Excited for this, really. Really excited.
I am very excited to pop your podcast virginity. Well, we'll just have to try not to get ourselves in too much trouble with with this podcast and
Yeah,
reveal too many
probably.
secrets.
Yeah.
So, why don't you? I know we're going to jump in it deep in, but tell us a little bit about baby Arthur. What was it like growing up? Where did it all start?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a long story. I've travelled around the world a lot growing up due to my mum and dad's work.
Hmm.
So I was born in Australia, and I was there for 8 years, and then I moved to Switzerland. I was there for 5 years, and then I was really always big on my rugby.
Hmm.
So at that point, I was just kept going up with my rugby, kept getting better and better. And at that point, I was about 13 years old, and I was like, all right, I want to make the next step. So I talked to my mum and dad and asked if I could go to boarding school in the UK to help pursue my rugby career. Um, so I went to boarding school for 2 years. That plan did not work out. Um, wasn't the right environment for me. Didn't thrive at all. And at that point, I was skillful, but I didn't really have the size on me to
Hmm.
really make an impact on my career, and I kind of lost the love of the game for it. And my second year there, my family moved to the States, and I was like, "Look, this isn't the place for me." And was lucky enough that I could meet them out in the States, and they're living in LA, the dream, hot weather
Oh,
all the
lovely.
time. Hot weather all the time. So that was really nice. And so I moved out there, and then I tried playing rugby out there, and it just wasn't great. Like the
Mhm.
standard was a bit average. And then the high
Mm.
school football
Okay,
coach.
so before we get into the start of your football career,
Ah,
what were your parents' careers to move around so much?
uh, Mum works in pharmaceuticals,
Hmm.
so it's just she used to work for a company called Amgen, and she's just been, I call her a legal drug dealer. Um, but yeah, she's in the pharmaceutical marketing area. I don't know too much about it. I don't really ask.
Can't
Um,
be told, mate. That's
yeah,
kill you.
so that's why I've moved around so much.
In fairness, drug dealers do tend to be pretty secretive, so that's
Yeah,
understandable. Um,
exactly, exactly.
what was it like in boarding school? Because I'm like, in my experience, when you meet people that have been to boarding school,
Mm.
they've got a very unique kind of
Oh
banter,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
can definitely tell. But a lot
Absolutely.
of them are jacked because they have nothing other better to do. Like my friend Noah, him and all of his friends are absolutely huge, but he went to a military boarding school.
Gosh.
So all they did was eat as much food as they could and trained as much as they could
Yep.
and had very strange banter. Um,
Oh, it's weird. Weird
yeah.
group of people.
But even for rugby boys, is it still strange? Because like for those people that haven't been to a university, um, I was told this is a quote, so don't come at me. This is the quote of the whole rugby union captain, and he says there's a very fine line between rugby and being gay, and it's a blurred line. That's the end of the quote. So you can imagine the kind of things that they get up to in terms of other men's genitalia.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard some stories that aren't too pleasant. And,
Only heard?
I've from university stories from guys who are on the team of stuff. It's a weird. I'm glad I got out. I'll put it at that. I'm glad I got out.
Okay then. Well then, tell us about how you fell in love with our beautiful sport that is American football. In the wonderful actually no, how on earth did you survive in California? Did you just have like a lifetime supply of Factor 50?
Yeah, had to have Factor 50. I would go to school, and before, like, part of my routine was putting sunscreen on in the morning, and then topping up at midday. And I was inside for most of the day, so yeah, it took me about 20 minutes, and I'd turn into a salmon, which wasn't great, but yeah, I mean, can't really go wrong. It's 30 degrees plus every day, beautiful, by the beach. Dream.
Did you have any arguments about the whole Fahrenheit situation, because it just makes no sense?
Well, the thing is with that sort of stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, we're right," and I go, "Okay." You just kind of ignore it because you know they're wrong.
Yeah.
But they love bringing up the fact that it was like the Revolutionary War or something, whatever it was, getting independence stuff. They love bringing that stuff up because it's the only thing they can hang on to.
It's not to get too controversial. It's amazing how patriotic a country can be when they're made up of complete foreigners, and they're all people that have emigrated.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a long hole. That's a deep hole to go down.
Oh, definitely a deep hole.
Yeah. We'll let the Americans have their piece. It's fine. Okay. To American football, what is that like? First of all, starting in America, like being a rugby person, because realistically, you were probably the best rugby player there, and then potentially going into a sport where you had absolutely zero skill.
Tragic, my first year. So a little backstory. So the head coach heard about me coming over because he also worked at admissions at the high school, so he knew that I was coming in and was a big rugby player. And he was like, "Look, just come on down to summer practice and see how you find it." And within 30 minutes, I fell in love. It was mad. It was definitely like that. That's the way I put it. It was mad. Summer practices, you're practicing 5 hours a day out in the stinking hot, and that's every day.
In California, I think like camp in England's bad, but
it's cold here. But the heat over there gets to you because you got to add a good 10 degrees onto the turf field, and it's not fun. But no, it's just I fell in love with it. I don't know what it was.
Even though you were awful at it in your own, well, not when you first started, like you.
Yeah, I was.
Most people at Britball kind of find that they're pretty good at it in comparison to the other people that are doing it, and then fall in love. Like that's how I find it. I was like, I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, you're good, tackle people." Blah. There we go. And I was like, I love this now. But you managed to fall into a sport that you weren't any good at to start off with.
It was a bit weird because I've always, growing up and stuff, I've always been like pretty good at most sports that I took part in, and this one was just, it was mind blowing at the start of just what the hell's going on, because I was used to the whole continuous rugby game, and now it's stop start, and it was a bit weird. But like I said, I absolutely loved it, and so I was there for 3 years. That first year didn't play. No play time at all. I was
What position did you try out at? What was your first position?
So they kind of moved me around a little bit. They had me at. I've always played linebacker. They always put me there because I wasn't fast enough to play DB. I wasn't big enough to play D line, and so they just stuck me there because they knew I could tackle. And then because we all had to go both ways, and they stuck me at running back to start.
Okay.
And I was a bit like, okay, I can do this. So my JV highlights are unreal. Got a couple 200-yard games, just stiff arming little kids, which is great. Running back. And
were you the same age of all of these kids that you were playing against?
Similar, like a lot of them were freshmen, so like a year younger. It wasn't that big, but at that point, there was people taking off and people like catching up, sort of thing. The whole thing. So I finally started to take off a little bit, and yeah, it was good fun. So didn't play much. I was a kicker and punter for the varsity team, and because no one knows how to kick over there, which is quite funny. And then second year was COVID, which was difficult. I went through this.
Oh, really? Damn.
I went through this rut of not taking care of myself at all, and put on a lot of weight, unhealthy weight. I was running around. I was like 5'10", 220 pounds, and I was just tub. I was just really overweight and didn't feel great about myself. And we missed a lot of the season, and luckily we were able to get at least 3 games, even with all the social distancing stuff. So we weren't at school, but we were playing games, which was awesome. And it was needed, definitely needed. And those 3 games, I find, because I've got bigger, I was able to move my weight around more, and I got moved to tight end / fullback, and just kind of got utilized as the meat, sort of. That's how I'd put it.
The meat wagon.
Yeah, it's just I'm gonna move somebody because I'm just bigger. So, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I played well, didn't play like well enough to the standard where coaches were coming to recruit me or whatever. Because that was being my junior year. That's a big recruitment year out there for the States. Is that second to last year of high school is where a lot of guys get their offers, and I just never saw that out in my future. So going into my senior year, I talked to coach, and coach came to me actually, and he was like, "Look, do you want to keep playing?" And I was like, "I'm not that bothered. Like, I'll play this year, and then I'll do whatever after. Like, I'm not too worried about it." But took the season really seriously, got into shape, lost about 40 pounds. Sorry, we're in England, so about 20 kilos, and was finally felt like myself again. And mentally, I was in a good point, and I was having the best time of my life. And annoyingly, I had a really good season, and if I told my coach that I wanted to play in college, I would have probably had some offers. But I just didn't reach out. I didn't see it. I didn't see it as an opportunity. I didn't see it as a possibility even.
You just lack faith in yourself after, obviously, when that time where you were quite low, gained a lot of weight. What kind of habits were you doing that were causing you to be like have such a low mood, or just not really be happy with yourself?
A lot of it I'm not proud of, looking back at it now, but there was days I'd wake up and I'd literally just go down for food, to the kitchen for food, go back to my room, play video games, and then I had a lot of drink. I just drank a lot, and
how old are you at this point?
I'm 16, 17 at this point.
Getting liquored up in your room at 17, that's wild.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Was this during lockdown?
Yeah.
So that was pretty standard procedure for a lot of people anyway, but most people could legally drink it.
Legally drink. Yeah, I was stealing the contraband. I was stealing what my mum and dad had in the house, and yeah.
Were you replacing it, like refilling the vodka bottle with water or anything like that?
No, I splashes here and there, just make sure it's all evened out so it's not a big drop off. But no, it was tough, and I relied on it, and it wasn't good. And after after it got lifted, COVID got lifted, we were allowed to go out and see people again, and actually play sport properly. I kind of got out of it very quickly because I was allowed to go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized then was the key for me, is that if I'm not active, I will just stoop. I'll go straight down and just feel just like meh. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah.
So now, flash forward a couple of years, every day I try and do something active just to get my blood pumping.
Yeah.
So I don't have that stoop of emotion of just feeling a bit
It's
shit.
depression, really, isn't it? It's just being
Yes.
depressed and negative to yourself.
Yeah. I like
Have
calling it
you?
it's weird talking about because depression's a big thing, and I
Mhm.
feel like now this is controversial. I feel like a lot of people say they have depression, and it's not as bad as they think it is.
Mhm.
That being said, it's not a thing of, oh no, you're just saying it because you have it, sort of thing.
No.
It's more of a thing, I think, is that we need to open our eyes more to whether it's we actually have an issue or we just don't feel good about ourselves on this day because we know we can do more, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Because depression for me is a big word and it's impacted my life massively. I like calling it being flat, just emotionless.
Yeah.
Nothing's going well, but nothing's
Mhm.
going really bad, sort of thing. And you can't. I had big mood swings with it. But now I'm looking back and I'm like, I guess if I go flat for a day, I know that okay, it might be a seasonal thing because the weather definitely affects it. Um, but for me, if I'm flat, I know that it's probably because I haven't done something worthwhile in the day for me
Yeah.
that I know I should be doing.
That's like my understanding of it. So I posted a story the other day, and you kind of said that you was like, "Oh yeah, I've got ADHD." Well, you
Yeah,
think you have. You're not officially diagnosed. And what you said makes a lot of sense because for me personally, and a lot of my clients and people I talk to, I'm an ADHD coach. When people with ADHD experience depression, it's you. So my understanding of clinical depression, by no means a psychiatrist or have a great deal of it, understanding of it, but you can't get out of it.
yeah,
Like it's not something you can do something and then you're no longer depressed. If you've got clinical depression, there's extended periods of time where no matter what actions you do, how you eat, how you interact with people, you're depressed.
yep,
Whereas people with ADHD and maybe a lot of other people, it's a case of having really poor habits,
yep,
poor eating routines, poor social media control, just constantly comparing yourself to other people, not eating good food, not exercising, not having decent conversations. Like even like if I'm in like a bad group chat and all they're doing is chatting shit about other people, you start looking at yourself. You're like, why am I just fucking listening to people that are just negative constantly?
yeah,
But with ADHD, or from what I've experienced and people I talk to experience, as soon as they do something good, exercise, healthy meal, talk to a good friend, like a proper good conversation, they pop straight back out of it.
yep,
So that might have been what you were saying, if you think you've got undiagnosed ADHD and then you've got that. And the most important thing you said is that if I don't exercise,
yep,
so like you've kind of found the hack to ADHD without necessarily knowing it, or maybe you did, because exercise is the best form of dopamine that you can get. Like even if you're on medication with ADHD,
it's
dopamine will
the
generally,
greatest drug in the world.
yeah, exactly. Like, and it'll the dopamine will last longer in your brain than a lot of the medications will. So some people manage their ADHD because they're already active, whereas it's become more and more prevalent because we live a more sedentary lifestyle, and the people that do have ADHD aren't active a lot of the time, and then they wonder why they're just not productive. Whereas if you go back 100 years, where people were working with their hands or had to fucking hunt their food,
Yep,
like no one's just having a lack of dopamine and lack of serotonin and just not being able to focus on tasks because they've done something with their day.
absolutely.
So the question is, Arthur, when are you going to get diagnosed?
I I'm not too worried about it. If I
Hmm.
do have it, then I know that. Thing is, because my younger siblings all have a bit of, I like to call them the tisms,
Hmm.
just because it's at the end of the day it's a bit about like my youngest brother who's 10 is ADHD off the walls. Like
Hmm.
the poor kid can't sit down for more than 10 minutes, especially at dinner. Like it's really difficult. but that's just who he is, and he's brilliant. I love the kid. And it was funny with him because me and my mum and dad, because I'm quite a lot older than my siblings, we were a little worried at times because he'd get into trouble at school
Mhm.
because he wasn't concentrating. So he was always bubbly and just out there and active and just, he's a jokester. Is really what he was. And we were worried about him at school. We decided to put him on medication, and it really almost destroyed of like who he was.
Really?
And it was quite interesting looking at it and comparing the two, because after he's like during his taking his medication,
Mhm.
much calmer, much quieter, but wasn't his like giggly, joking self, where
Yeah.
this 10-year-old has got like the humor of he's got the best humor of anyone I've ever met. He's a
Yeah.
genius. And this medication kind of like took that away from him. So my mum and dad saw that and were like, no, we're taking him off. Like, we can deal with
Yeah.
it.
It's one of them things, like a lot of different medications have different effects on people. And sometimes when people get medicated, they stop masking. So I'm not saying this is your brother, but a lot of people find they have to be that joker because getting that attention gives them a rise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that validation that they're funny, but when they get medicated, they no longer have to be that joker. They no longer have to be loud and argumentative and obstructive, because their brain can actually focus on what's at task rather than just being distracted and kind of getting dopamine elsewhere. But it's a process with a lot of things, like working out what medication is best for you, or maybe just exercise works for you. It's one of them things, like ADHD isn't a disability unless you're in the like capitalist Western society where you need to be able to sit down and focus on one thing for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, 5 days a week for the rest of your life. Like your brother would be fine if it wasn't expected of children to sit down for 6 hours. And when you think about it, that's ridiculous.
It's mad. It is mad.
Like, but yeah, we'll digress because we'll go down a rabbit hole there.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, so you're in your senior year at high school. You kind of found the love for football, haven't you? And lost all this weight and had an amazing season.
And I had a glow. I was looking handsome.
So what happened between now and then?
Oh, I went from a very fugly duckling to, a decent looking bloke, and lost loads of weight. So I looked good, felt good about myself.
Chiseled.
Chiseled, exactly. But no, I just fell in love with sport again. That's really what it was.
Mhm.
And it was awesome. Took the team to the best record it's had in a long time, and it was absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then after that season, I played a bit of basketball and lacrosse, and it was just to stay active, because I knew at that point that if I wasn't playing a sport,
Mhm.
I'd keep going down and like on
Yeah.
this roller coaster.
It's one of them things where you've got nothing to aim for. So like, well, why am I continuously working hard? It's
Exactly.
like as good as exercise is for us, it's still pretty punishing. Like if I didn't play for GB, I would not be in the gym at 5:30, 5 days a week. I'd probably just find a sport and play it 3 times a week, like squash or tennis or something.
Yep.
Because as far as I'm concerned, lifting weights isn't fun.
No.
And I think like unless you're like really obsessed with numbers and watching a number get slightly bigger, it's not as fun as competing in a sport, like
Yeah.
in anything, even if it's just against your friends. Like I'm trash at squash and my friends beat me all the time, but like
You
I'm
still
having
want
the
to
time
win.
of my life, and all I need to do is get 1 point over them, and
Yeah.
like I'm loving life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so is that why you feel like you're continuously pushing, like, and wanting to grow?
Yeah, because for me, I want to win. That's
Mm.
it kills me at sometimes, because winning isn't everything, but a lot of the time I'm so focused on it that
Mm-hmm.
it takes away from other things. But for me now, I've got goals in my head of where I'm going to be, of where I want to be.
And where are they?
Big aspiration. I want to. This time next year, I'll be fully eligible for the CFL Combine, and I want to get invited to that and end up on a CFL roster. That's my plan. That's my goal. That's what I've been working to for the past year now. Because my eyes have been opened, and people will say what they want about this guy, but Jason Scott has saved my football career. The guy has put so much trust in me and so much passion about wanting to get me to this next stage that it's really helped me focus on, okay, now I can make something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can't thank that guy enough. And I'm sure you love Jason as well because you're on the program.
Yeah,
he's done so much for me, but more importantly, he's just opened my eyes to the possibilities.
Yeah, there aren't enough good words for me to say about Jason. His passion for the team, for the game, for the people that do it. His like basically everyone that he plays with, and if you embrace Jason, he'll embrace you like one of his own children. And like his knowledge about the game, whether it's in the UK or not, like I think I don't know anyone else that knows as much about football as Jason. And for him to be as knowledgeable as he is, he's also very charismatic and able to explain it to people in a way that's simple, which is a skill. Because a lot of people make football too complex.
Agreed.
So what are your kind of like numerical goals? Where do you like at what point do you see yourself set account ready? Like what numbers are you looking at?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's a little different for me because my style of play is very different to what a normal middle linebacker would be.
I'd agree. Yeah.
I'm not the big stocky guy in the middle that's gonna stuff the A gap every play, and that I'm more of a guy who, can do that. It's not my best trait. My best trait is out in space, so tracking down screens or jets or outside zone runs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got speed's I like to call my superpower. I think everyone's got their superpower that it's their number one tool that they use on the pitch, and everyone's got it different. But for me, my position, I think, is speed's where I stand out, and time.
I'd disagree. I'd say where you stand. Well, speed, yes, but not necessarily running speed. It's the speed at which you read the game.
Yeah.
Like it's like where the running back's going before I do. Like I don't know. We've not had a race, but like even on any film that I watch, I'm there, read step, everyone else has moved, then I'm like, work out what's going on, then I'll run to it. We'll have to have a race and see who's faster.
Oh, I back myself.
What's your latest 40?
See, that's the issue. I haven't had a timed 40 in a year now.
Neither have I.
So we might just have to race on the 27th and see what happens.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see who the fastest linebacker is in Great Britain. Because if you beat me, I'm going to be at Lenny just saying that just put sprint training.
Sprint training. Yeah.
Because I'm not as smart as you, so I need to at least be faster. Let's be honest. And also, I have some melanin on my side, and I can't be letting a.
Yeah, I have, as you can see, I have zero melanin in my body.
The ginger hair gives it away. To be fair, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's what. Yeah. Onto that. What was the kind of I forget the word for it now. What was the kind of spread equality-wise in terms of races at your school if you were the fastest at age 12?
Oh, age 12. There was, it was the whitest of schools on the planet. To put it plain and simple. Don't get me wrong. I'm quick, but I'm not that quick. So yeah, let's say I got lucky. So those school records.
Shout out to my melanated friends.
Yeah. I can have that and the explosiveness.
Yeah. But you're catching up. You're catching up. The muscle definition's getting there. Like Arthur
Getting there.
Kingdom when he first joined GB, the old double bicep wasn't
Yeah.
really rippling.
No, it wasn't. It
But
was
you can
not
see
rippling.
now we're sat in the meeting the entire time there. Boom. Filling the frame.
Do you remember Jason's nickname for me? He
No.
called me spaghetti arms. And he kept calling me that until I fixed it. And now I've upgraded to tortellini arms.
You're upgrading. That's definitely a better pasta as well.
So
How much are you weighing at the minute?
I've weighed in yesterday at 102 kilos.
Damn.
So I'm finally getting back up there.
Well, that's linebacker numbers.
Yeah, finally. I was playing at bloody 85 last season, but
You've what? You came. That's
so September 2022. I weighed in at 85 kilos at uni and played at that for the whole season, and then the summer after I got invited to the CFL Combine as a futures prospect, is finally when that flipped the switch in me. I was like, right, I need to work on this because
they provide syringes or
fun. No, God no. Didn't touch.
That's a crazy amount of muscle to because you're still pretty lean.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work. I work with a personal trainer in Leicester. His name's Josh, and he just absolutely smashed it out of the park. He got my nutrition plan sorted, so I was eating loads, and he got me working out only 3 times a week whilst I was still playing at Titans over the summer.
You're only training 3 times a week?
Yeah.
So,
but it's also.
I need to have a word with Lenny.
I
need 15 kilos, Alex Lenkowski. Where are they at? Where's my 15 kilos of lean muscle? He's just going to tell me I don't work hard enough, which
probably that sums up Lenny. But yeah, it was a little shocking whilst doing it because I did put on a lot of weight, but it was also a thing of like I'm still growing. I'm not fully done growing yet, and because I was a late bloomer. I hit puberty at 18. Not proud of it, but that was the case. My balls dropped.
What do you mean? What was the defining factor that made you hit puberty?
My balls dropped. Finally, my voice didn't sound like Mickey Mouse at 18, and started growing hair, and yeah. So
so till 18, you were naked mole rat.
Oh, it was horrendous.
I'm gonna call you Rufus from now on. If you know. So you are old enough to know Kim Possible.
Yeah, of course I'm old enough to know Kim Possible. I'm not that young.
Hey, I'm a lot older than you.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Damn.
I know. That's how heartbroken I was because I was the young gun in the linebacker group until you joined at the age of 25. And then I was like, yeah, I'm still learning. I've got a lot to come. And then these kids come around, they're 19, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just as good as you, Luke.
There's 3 of us. There's me, Jensen, and Rio. Just
absolutely bossing it, mate.
Absolutely bossing. So it's.
Well, I look forward to the day that I'm the granddad on the team, and you guys can do all the running around, and maybe I'll become a cerebral player rather than a fast player.
You become the Irish group.
Yes. Now that's something to aspire to be fair.
Yeah.
That's a tenured career.
Yeah, it's a very good career. Very good career. Just
shout
happy
out Stuart.
Yeah, big shout out. Just happy he's coaching me at Beckett.
Yeah, why don't we get into some of the uni ball rivalries because Beckett
this.
really weren't up there until like a few years ago.
I don't know the full history of it. I know we won championship. I think it was 2018 when we won it. Not sure, but yeah, it's just we're in the mix of Nottingham and UWE. We're kind of.
Are you
in the middle of both?
You're in the middle. So you're in the middle of first and second.
We're gonna have this debate. All right. Just wait till February. Just wait. I think it's February 24th.
But you've already lost Nottingham this season, correct?
We have, but we play them again. All we need to do is beat them by 11 or more, and we get the number 1 seed, and then life is sweet.
And then you get to go up against Yui and
Team America, as we like to call it.
Yeah. Well, no, team professional American football players.
Yes, yeah, they do. They do have the MVP of the year left on their team.
And one of the best offensive linemen coming out of Britain.
Yeah,
And
ex-Hawaii wide receiver who's now signed with the Unicorns.
And I hear a little birdie tells me that they might be making some more additions later on, but that's all you're going to hear from me. Just to make you nibble.
Yeah,
and I can't tell you.
No, I figured. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's.
You never know. They might offer you an unconditional next year.
If I speak, I'll be in big trouble. But no, nothing. But no,
they pay well. I hear.
I like playing against that competition. Last year, when we played them in the semis, it was a real close game, and we kind of shocked them because they didn't expect us to put up with a fight. And we were leading for 3 quarters, and then a last second Hail Mary, they won the game.
What is how does Uniball compare to like high school? Because in reality, the guys that you were playing with at high school had been playing American football for, let's say, 10 years at that point. And a lot of the people that you're playing with at Uniball, well, at the higher levels that you're playing at now, most people that are starting in the Premiership have had a few years' experience.
Yeah.
But well, when I started in Hull, mighty Hull, most people had never played before. Wait, don't laugh, mate. There's a lot of GB talent at Hull. Myself, Will Hobbs, Anthony Norton. You've got Keanu Ebanks, the best tackle in Europe, also came from Hull. There's a lot of talent coming out of that small university.
Yeah. The standard, to answer your question, the standard is, I think it's skewed for me because the high school I went to wasn't great. We didn't play the best teams. And don't get me wrong, there were some absolute studs that we played against and that were on the team. But it's more of, especially in the Prem here, I find that Nottingham and Uwe and Durham, they know what they're doing. Like they've all had playing experience, and because everyone's just bigger and stronger at that point, we've had a couple more years to be in the gym. It's just more physical.
What about cerebrally and scheme wise?
Pardon?
I think you were going to go into it anyway. You carry on.
But yeah, it's just, I think the knowledge of the game is very similar. I think because over here you don't want to complicate it too much, and I compare it to at GB and stuff. It's GB's most complex playbook I've ever seen.
Okay.
That compared to high school is very simple because there's guys who, some guys haven't played before either. They come in their freshman year, and when you're like 15 and they finally have this massive growth spurt, and the coach is like, "Yeah, I want you to come play left."
Yeah.
And then there's skill position guys who've been playing for God knows how long. So we had this wide receiver who is now playing at Cal Poly at Div 1, and he's a freak of nature. 6'2", 190 pounds.
That's a big receiver.
Massive receiver. 190 pounds with a 37.5-inch vertical, and he just mosses everyone.
That's rookie numbers, man. I've got that on a box jump.
So you get those freaks of nature, and there's the schemes and stuff, and what offenses do. I think it is a little simple because you can't have guys. There's not all those guys that know what they're doing, who like almost challenge the coach, be like, okay, why are we doing this when we can do this?
Mhm.
Going back and forth. A lot of guys just be like, okay, that's what we're meant to do. That's why I'm grateful to have George Foster as our DC, because me and a couple of other guys on the team, we kind of question things, going back and forth, and it's a healthy conversation with them about why we're doing certain things, and sharing that knowledge of the game is really helpful. But yeah, to answer your question, I think the standard, especially in the top league, is very good. I think it's very good. I think it's a good stepping stone. I've used it as a stepping stone to go to the GFL, which I'm going this summer. Let's go.
Oh, is it confirmed?
It is confirmed.
Can we get the scoop? Is it? Can you share?
I don't know if I can share. That might be I'll send you a text later, but
Okie dokie.
because they haven't made the official announcement yet. But I am.
Well, this will be going live on Thursday.
I don't know if it'll be out by then. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
I'll
you can
definitely
tell me later.
But
then anyone who know, DM me, and because I'm sure thousands and millions of people are going to listen to this episode, of course.
Yeah.
So it'd be very damaging for your career and your contract if we did leak it.
Sure. The DMs will absolutely blow up. But yeah, no, that's exciting. It's exciting stuff for me. I think it's the next step for where I want to be at in a couple of years' time, and the team that I signed for have given me this opportunity, and I can't wait to get out there. Really,
that's amazing, man. Have you started practicing your German yet?
I knew a little bit when I lived in Switzerland, so
oh yeah,
I can get by. It's not great, but I can get by.
Look at you, the multilingual man. Do you have any memories of like when you lived in Australia or Sweden that are notable?
Oh, great question. Australia's a bit of a blur.
Mm-hmm.
I can't lie. I think that's probably the head injuries, but CTE.
You were born with CTE.
No, but knocks to the head later on in life has made me forget what's.
Oh, okay, fair. I'll let you
off. But yeah. So Australia's a bit of a blur to me. Switzerland was just very life changing. I would say I opened my eyes. Went from 35 degrees in Australia to minus 10 in Switzerland.
Is that where you learned to ski?
I did learn to ski in Switzerland. It was awesome. That's the biggest thing I took from there was I love skiing. Skiing's great, and I got to the point where I was decent enough that I could compete, and then I had something to
Well, you competed in skiing.
Yeah.
Okay, what, like downhill, slalom?
Slalom, giant slalom, and then what they call Super G. We weren't allowed to do downhill because I was too young, but yeah, it was good fun. Good fun, man.
Jesus Christ, mate. Multi-sport athlete out here.
Trying, really trying.
Perfect. Well, I'm very glad to hear that you're broadening your horizons to Germany. If you haven't forgot, Hatchen is chicken. So that's all you need to look for when you go to Lidl, and you'll be sound.
Perfect.
So, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this. I spotted a tattoo of yours when we was at training once.
Yes.
Would you like to go into a bit of the background of that and like the decision that you made from that day onwards, and how you've decided to live your life since?
Yeah. So the tattoo was just a reminder for me, because it was during this COVID time that we talked about earlier, that going through a rough time, didn't feel great about myself, and coming back to school in 2021, September 2021, that summer was kind of like I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I was going to my senior year. I didn't have any plans. I didn't know where I was going to university. And I thought of the great idea that I am better off not being on this earth. So it was, looking back at it, I'm just a bit of an idiot, but at the time I thought it was the right decision to do. And so I'm driving at stupid speeds, and I get this phone call from my
But oh,
best friend.
you can drive at this time.
Yeah,
So like you're.
I was 18.
Oh, oh,
You can drive at 16 in the States.
oh! I didn't realise you was 18 at this point. Okay, yeah, carry on. Sorry.
That's all right. And so I was driving at speeds I shouldn't have been driving at, and
Mhm,
just thought, "Oh, why not go off a cliff?"
mhm,
And as I'm driving, having these thoughts, just bawling my eyes out, tears of just not being happy with myself. I get a phone call, like a random phone call from my best mate at the time, and all she said was, "Hey, look, I'm just checking in. Are you all right?" I said nothing prior. I
mhm.
didn't, like, nothing prompted her to call me and say that, and it kind of shut my mind. I was like, "Damn,
Someone does
that."
care.
So yeah, and at that time, my relationship with my parents, I didn't speak to them enough about stuff. And after this fact, I learned so much more about them that it made me kind of realize that, like, I just need to speak to them because they're two of the best people I know on earth. Like, they're brilliant and wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today without them.
Yeah.
Um, so that phone call just kind of opened my eyes. I was like, why? What am I doing? It got me out of this. I felt like I was a horse with blinkers on, not looking at anything. One thing,
Mhm,
and this phone call was just like opened my eyes. I was like, damn, this is what I'm doing is wrong. Um, so then that night, my mum sat down with me and we had a conversation. It turns out that she went through difficult periods in her life, and
mhm.
it kind of made me realize, like, oh, so because my mum's always come off as the very strong, powerful
Super
boss,
successful. Nothing can bother them.
boss of the house, like she owns it, sort of thing. Like
Boss bitch.
yeah, she's the boss. She's unreal, and nothing's ever really phased her. So seeing that side of her was like, oh, like people who don't think have any issues go through it as
Mm,
well. And so that was it. It was really emotional for me, and it made me realize that, what the hell am I doing? And then a couple months later, it got to a point where I was like, right, I'm never going to go back there again, because I started going to a therapist, speaking to her twice a week, and just made me value everything. So I talked about the whole situation, what was going on, stuff like that, and really just it just helped just speaking about it in general.
yeah.
Um, and then I decided, it's like, look, I'm gonna almost make it my brand, almost, because I was very open about. I'm very open about the whole situation.
Mhm,
I think it's important to talk about, because you never know what people are going through, and me sharing my story might mean someone may listen and be like, I'm going through the same thing. Might not even say anything, but might just realize to themselves, or they might, come speak to me about it. And that, it was kind of weird. I kind of enjoyed helping people throughout their problems.
yeah.
And yeah, it was really cool. It was weird, but like it worked. And we had this project at school where, because it was our final year, we had to write a speech, and it was peer nominated, of who would, say their speech to the whole school.
Mhm,
And so I presented it to the the people that were voting on it, and I got voted to present my speech. And my speech was about that night, and about how checking in with someone that you love and care about is so important, and
mhm.
can really, change their life. It changed
Without a
mine,
doubt, mate.
and the reception I got from that was kind of mind blowing. There was students who came up to me and they said thank you. and that was it. And those students came up to me who then started telling me their story and how I could help and stuff like that, which was awesome. But the thing that really got to me, because my whole thing was just checking in, was
Mm-hmm.
this teacher who I've never met was there listening, and he came up to me afterwards, like crying, and he goes, "Thank you." And I go, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "I've just contacted my daughter, who I haven't spoken to in 10 years, just to see how
Oh.
she's doing." And I was like, "Whoa!"
Mm-hmm.
And later on, like a couple of weeks later, he saw me and goes, "Thank you so much again. Like I'm finally seeing my daughter after so long. Like it's awesome." And I was like, "Wow!" Like
That's
that
fucking amazing.
it just filled me up with so much joy of just and thankfulness that I was able to share my story and help other people's. And
But the crazy thing is, yeah, none of that would have happened if your friend
Mhm.
hadn't called you, and
Yep.
if you did unalive yourself, all of those people that you've impacted positively
Yep.
wouldn't have happened. So like, it just goes to show that if anyone's feeling like that,
Mhm.
no matter who you compare him to yourself, Arthur was comparing himself to his mother of all people, and it's so easy because you don't notice. You're exposed to the top 1% of everything
Yep.
100% of the time. If you're on LinkedIn, CEOs, directors, people just sharing them getting promoted. On Instagram, athletes, models,
Yep.
superstars, everyone is the 1%, and all you can do is compare yourself, and it's so damaging sometimes
Yep.
until you listen and talk to them and hear about the underside. Like, you spoke to your mum and she shared things with you that made you realize she's not perfect. Like, she did have troubles like I did, and I do. And then you were like, fuck, like, well, I'm not broken. Other people feel the exact
Yeah.
same as me.
Exactly. Exactly. And so the tattoo you're referring to, I got it as a daily reminder to just say to myself that this is what I'm gonna never get back to that point again. And if I'm anywhere near that point, I'm gonna just reach out and talk to people that I know care about me, and I want to make sure that no one that I know and love will get to that point as well. So it was just, yeah, it was life changing, life changing.
Literally.
So it's
Are you still in contact with the girl that saved your life?
rarely, not much. We kind of grew apart because I moved back and she's still over there.
Yeah.
So just distance kind of messed up. But she had a nickname called Bean. So in the tattoo, I've got the date written of the night and the 2021, and instead of a zero, it's a little bean. Just
Oh, I didn't notice that.
yeah, it's a little detail. It's a little faded, but so I need to get it redone. But yeah, that was that little bit of detail that I wanted to add just because on the day she saved my life. So.
Mhm. Like, it's such a powerful story, and like, thank you so much for being vulnerable and open and sharing that with me and the 5 people that will listen to this, because these messages need to be shown, because for all we know, the one person that does listen to that might be in a similar place and might need that person to reach out. So if anyone is out there that isn't sure, haven't heard for their friend, even if you think they're perfectly fine, please reach out, because
Yeah,
like, especially men, we don't talk.
yeah,
The American football community is quite good at it. It's a really supportive one. I think it's probably one of the least toxic sports going around from my experience. I've played football, I've been around some rugby teams and things like that. American football's is really welcoming and pretty non-judgmental, because most people aren't very good at it, but we just
no,
love the sport.
yep,
So like, everyone's accepting because everyone comes from such different levels, such different backgrounds,
mhm.
different sports. Some people have never played sport before and they just love watching American football. They've
I'd say
never like even run.
yeah. My description of it is we're all outliers from other sports teams.
Yeah.
And to sum it up, like we've all come from different sports, especially in the UK. Of guys don't grow up playing American football. You either get introduced to it at uni or your mates played, and once you come down to your youth team or whatever. So I joke about it at uni here that we're all a bunch of rugby rejects, but I'm glad that we are because the community that especially in the UK American football, that community is a special one. It is a special one.
Yeah, it's really support 90% of it. Like, I've not had bad interactions with anyone that I've encountered on my American football journey, really. Especially at GB, like when you've got like teams that are complete opposites, rivals a week ago or a day ago, and then we come together and we're like, me and Arthur are technically were on rival teams before we went to Europe, and like you've got Coops, Stu, and then you've got me and Nelson from like the Knicks. But I think the linebackers is such a cohesive group at GB. I have no experience of other groups. Bloomfield has preached that pretty much similar to what I'm doing, that everyone just kind of drops their beef and gets on with it because we just love the sport and want to support each other.
Absolutely. It's like the same thing with Titans and Warriors, and Blitz and Warriors. Like, you don't see those.
Well, apparently, some people from Blitz are leaving. They're going to unite to form a superpower to beat Manchester,
and they're still going to lose. But
even without you.
I didn't play. They didn't let me play. It was this thing of I'm too young and they don't trust me yet, so I didn't get much playing time. But that's fine by me. I learned a lot. I was around very good people, and they all, even though I didn't get the game time that I wanted, it kind of made me realize that like I've still got to work for this. I'm not going to get given anything.
It's probably best for you, because if you got it, then you might not have been so hungry for more.
Exactly. So no, it's good. It is good. But like you said about everyone's beef getting dropped, like you see it at GB especially. It's like friendly banter between Titans and Warriors a lot of the time. But you don't. There's no like hateful, rivalries or anything.
Yeah, completely agree. So I've got a few quick fire questions here.
Here we go.
Unless you want to talk about more, because we haven't really spoken about university that much, or you actually playing for GB. So we'll see where we come to. But what was your like welcome to GB moment? Like the whole welcome to the NFL moment.
Damn. That is wow.
So I've got one small memory from when you were at the trial and I was just there helping out.
Oh, you might have to share that because I haven't got.
Like, it's not big and it just strokes my ego a little bit. But we were just doing like a blocking drill and I was there just helping out. And Eddie was like, "Oh, Luke, show me." I was like, "I'm not in kit." And he's like, "Just show them." We were there and we were just doing a simple like DDF blocking drill. And I blocked you in pads and I was unpadded. And you went, "Oh, so that's the level." And I was like, "Yeah, the guy does." And then like 2 weeks later, Arthur came to the team and was just stealing all my reps, and is now got more caps than I do. But what is your real welcome?
That story, I got popped in the oh damn. But I think another one is the Blue v White game. I made a tackle in the backfield, and I was on the same team as Jamal. And for those who don't know Jamal is a behemoth of a man. Yeah. He's enormous.
He's 6'5", 130 kilos, and originally played linebacker.
Yeah, so he fell full body weight on me as I'm on the floor after a tackle, and it was more of a thing of, ow, that hurt. And when I tried to get up, I didn't move, and I put all my effort to try and push up, and not even a smidge of movement.
It's one of the ones where you just feel so powerless. You're like, what can I possibly do in this situation? Like, there's no amount of strength that I can like gain from my body that is going to get me out of this situation.
I just had to accept the fact that that very large man just laid on top of me until he got up. So
yeah, I was hoping for something like inside run, or it's usually like mine would probably be like just
I've got
meeting a fucking pulling guard as we've called Tiger, and you've hit the B gap and you turn right just to see. You're like, yes, I'm in, and then you're like,
no,
fuck.
Yeah. It's probably I got very badly stiff armed by I think Tyrell one practice session, and I just went, whoa. So I went in to tackle and just went bang, head hit the floor. Wasn't great, but
okay.
Sorry, quick.
I think being landed on Jamal's is a pretty good welcome to GB moment. Okay, another one on the same theme. Yeah, who has been the hardest person to tackle? Like, who's been the worst person you've had to try and tackle? Because like at GB, there's some fucking people that are scary runners. Like Sequala is probably 120 kilos, 6'3", runs downhill.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dwayne Obi, who is probably the same size and dislikes you if you're opposite him and will happily just run through your soul. I don't think you met Dwayne, but...
No, I haven't gone against Dwayne, but the other guys, they tend to run away from me because they're scared. But
whoa, big cat. Look, that's a whole 102 kilos of linebacker there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the hardest person to tackle,
or most intimidating. Well, no one intimidates us. We're linebackers and obviously better than running backs.
See, a lot of people say Joe Nick, but I haven't struggled to tackle Joe Nick yet. I think he's retired, so.
Because you have this amazing ability to tackle low, which I've not mastered yet.
I dive at ankles. I'm an ankle biter. I love some ankles. I'd say the hardest tackle. Lord, that's tough. Finley Old.
Yeah.
Tight end. He's tough to take down because he's just boom. He's not the biggest of guys. He's not the tallest of guys, but he's just built like a brick shit.
He's stacked. He actually nearly killed me. So I blitzed the C gap and he was at a tight end, and I was like, oh, I'm free. Started running straight up, and all he did was drop his shoulder right into my stomach, and I was on the floor. And I'm sure you've been winded, but to the point where like you're winded that bad that all you do is exhale when there's no breath left. I was going, and all I wanted to do was breathe in, but I couldn't because he just annihilated me that badly. So shout out to Finley Old. You're a horrible man. He's also probably one of the smartest men on Great Britain. He's doing a PhD now.
Yep, at the godforsaken nuts.
So that's your welcome to one of the hardest people to tackle. I think that's a good shout because tight ends, you're generally tackling one-on-one once you get there. You're going to be the linebackers will be the first ones to get there, whereas running backs are probably trying to run away from you, etc. That's probably a very good shout. Not Mr. Henry Rowland, though.
Henry's an easy tackle.
Did you hear that, Henry?
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
Give me one of them
Henry,
legs.
I've put Henry in my pocket a few times.
Yeah.
So, what did it feel like coming home to like England, knowing that you didn't have any offers? But like you went through that thing where you kind of weren't interested, didn't think you'd get offers, and then kind of it sparked. You started playing well, got that love back for the game, and then all of a sudden you've got to come back to England.
Yeah. So I knew.
When was the last time you'd lived in England at that point as well?
You count boarding school?
Yeah, I suppose so. But other than that, you'd never lived in England?
Never.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so yet you're representing Great Britain.
I might have to double check the passport on that one. But yeah, coming back, it was a bit weird because I didn't know I was going to uni, so I had to go through clearing and everything. And originally I was talking to the NFL Academy and went to the tryouts, and the guy said, like, we want you, sort of thing. And they let me try out and everything. And about a couple of weeks after, everyone's got their emails. I still haven't got an email saying I'm in or not. And reach out to the coach and he goes, oh yeah, we're trying to figure it out. Another 2 weeks go by, still nothing. I'm like, coach, I need to know. Because it's either this or uni. And he goes, oh,
so you can be in the NFL Academy at 18?
Yeah, so that was the thing. Was at 18 you're allowed to go in still for 1 year. And he's like, oh no, you're too old. I was like, 6. So he's made me trial after I had to give my date of birth. So you still let me trial, and then you still wanted me and in contact with me, and then didn't tell me that I was too old until the very last day. So I was a bit like, well, that's a bit fucking muggy, and that's not really on. But then I started reaching out to schools, and then Loughborough, I had a conditional offer, and didn't know if I had the grades or not for them because I was in contact with them. And then 2 weeks before uni started, they go, yeah, you didn't get in. I was like, sick. So that was my backup plan. So then I was then looking at, right, where's the best American football teams in the UK at uni level?
At the shittest uni.
Yeah, at where I can get in. And Leeds Beckett, mint. Leeds meant to be sick. Let's message the head coach. Within 3 days, I'm enrolled at the uni and at training that week. So
amazing.
That I owe Dale Bottomley was the head coach at the time. I owe that man a lot because he was like, yep, I want you. Yep, you're in. 3 days, bang, bish bash bosh, set. So
you never look back.
Never look back. Never look back.
Perfect. Okay, last question, and this is a submitter one from Instagram.
Oh god.
The famous AK47. Did you choose the number 47 based on your initials, or was it just by chance? Are you really the comedic genius?
I've always wanted 47 because of the initials. Because it is just funny. And in high school, they didn't have 47 as a jersey because no one's ever asked for 47 ever. So I wore number 2, and don't know why. It was just cool. I liked it. And then coming over here, I was like, right, got to be a 47. It has to be a 47. Get in. No one else wants 47. There's a 47. Bang, give me that. So I'm trying to build this brand of just AK47. That's who I am.
I think it's a very good brand to go with.
Yeah. So it seems to be working, but the one bad thing about Jason Scott, they don't have a 47 at GB.
They probably do.
And they're just not letting me.
Oh yeah.
And they're teasing me by putting me in 48. One off.
I'm sure, like, I played linebacker at 97, so I'm sure they can get you. Like, Jason Scott used to be really anal with numbers. Like, at Tamworth, I wouldn't have been able to wear 97 because that's his defense. Obviously, GB isn't his defense, even though it's his team. Yeah. He's a bit more flexible. But maybe to
add to that, by the way, when I got invited to the CFL Combine last year as a prospect, they had these shirts with numbers on them, and he held up 46 and 47, and then gave me 46. So I was like, nice, really appreciate it.
Did you not just say, can I have that one, please?
No, I said I looked at him and I said, please, and he goes, no. 46.
Did you explain?
Of course I explained. He knew exactly why. And
wow.
Of course he knew.
He always knows what he's doing. But please, like, it's a really funny joke. My name's Arthur Kingdom, and like, AK, and he was just
not having it.
Yeah, sorry, no. Okay. Any final messages? We've covered a lot in there. I've
enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad I've really enjoyed it, and like I think we've covered a lot of powerful messages for people. Yes. For one, exercise. Do things that are good for your brain.
Yeah. Can't say it better. So important.
Perfect. Any other last comments, mate?
No. See you in a week.
You will indeed, mate. Arthur, where can people find you? Where can people see your highlights?
So if you find me on Instagram, Arthur_Kingdom_7. Highlights are all up there. teams already signed me, so sorry, other teams, but I'm taken for this season.
So you're telling me if Ryan Fire come knocking at your door, you're not going to tear that contract up?
Made my commitment.
Smart. See, he knows. He's committed to the team, even though if that did happen, we'd see the true speed of our kingdom.
No, not a chance.
Well, I look forward to visiting you in Germany. And
yes.
if you have to miss a few training sessions at GB, don't worry, I'll take your reps. Yeah. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I look forward to having many more games and a long career alongside you at GB and who knows where else. But
ooh,
okay. Yeah, it's not that controversial. But I just want to say thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for sharing such an inspirational, vulnerable story that it could change other people's lives. And thank you for still being here and still being alive and being the great person that you are, because you provide so much juice, so much enthusiasm. Like I remember when you first joined and I was like, who the fuck is this skinny kid that won't shut up? I was like, I get it, you went to America, but like now I'm all for it. Like you bring so much energy and you're so positive to everyone else. And I think you're a joy to be around. And yeah, I'm really glad that I've met you and that you're part of my footballing life.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, mate.
No worries, man. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon.
Appreciate it.
And